So another great way to use up those Fama onions is French onion soup. And today we are breaking out the old Florida Farm Bureau Homemaker's Handbook. This is a really special recipe book that was created by the Florida Farm Bureau Women's Committee in 1978. It features down-home recipes from Farm Bureau women all across the state. Today we're actually going to use an onion cheese soup recipe from Mrs. Robin Crawford of Union County. You're going to start with, so this recipe actually, before I start, is going to make one serving. So we're going to use two medium-sized Vidalia onions, and I always like to have a little scrap bowl next to me when I'm chopping my onions because they can be a little messy with the peel and everything. So you want to make sure you get that peel off, get all that skin off. And everybody has their own method of slicing an onion, but the good thing about Vidalia onions is they don't really make your eyes burn like some onions do, you know what I mean? So once you get all that skin off, you want to get the onion sliced as thin as possible. So once you get all your onions sliced up, you want to have a saucepan behind you going with some melted butter, and you want to saute the onions until they're nice and translucent. You have about a half a stick of butter melted in the pan. You want to add your onions slowly. Oops. They're going to cook in here for about 10 minutes or so until they're nice and translucent. I'm going to give them a nice little stir every so often to make sure they all get incorporated with the butter. Okay, so our onions are done. They're nice and translucent and tender, and they have a nice brown color. Now we want to add our beef broth and our water, about 2 cups of each. This recipe uses 4 large onions. You can always double it if you're feeding a bigger crowd. But you want to add your liquids, and you want to bring your heat back up to a boil. You want to add some salt and pepper and a little bit of your secret ingredient here, which is going to be your Worcestershire sauce. And according to Mrs. Robinson, she uses about 1 teaspoon. So I'm going to eyeball that. And once it comes back up to a boil, you want to let it simmer in the pan for about 30 more minutes before transferring it into a bowl for the oven with the cheese and the yummy bread. Our soup has been simmering for about 30 minutes now. We have a nice consistency, slightly thicker than when we started thanks to the slow cooking process, and we look ready to go. In Mrs. Robinson's version of this onion cheese soup, she uses English muffins for her bread, which is pretty old school. Today we're going to be using a crusty loaf of white French bread. And we want to kind of just cut it up into little pieces about this size because we're going to plate it in our ramekin bowl, bread first, then soup with the yummy Swiss cheese on top. French onion soup is a great recipe if you're buying a bag of Fama onions because it uses up a lot of onions. And another great thing about these Vidalia onions is that they will store in your crisper drawer in your refrigerator for several months. Okay, so our onions are ready to go in our bowl. So we're going to grab some of our bread and we're going to place it at the bottom of our bowl. I have my little helper here. This is Garrett. We're going to use a ladle to scoop the French onion soup into the bowl to prevent it from spilling. So I'm going to grab a nice 2 big scoops should do it for this size bowl. And then we're going to put our Swiss cheese right on top. And we're going to pop it in the broiler for just a couple of minutes until our cheese is melted. Okay, we have our single serve here. And our casserole here. Keep an eye on them. The broiler can get really hot. I have mine set to 500, and I'm going to keep an eye on them for probably about 2 minutes is all it should take. And we'll see where we're at. Okay, our timer went off, so I'm gonna give these soups a look and see how they're doing. They look nice and golden brown and bubbly, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab them out. Beautiful. Look at that. It's super delicious to top it with some ground thyme. If you have it on hand, which we do. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. It's gonna be really hot when you first get it out of the oven, so you'll wanna let it cool just a little bit before you serve.